So Bill Daley mentioned this yesterday. I didn't go into it too much. And, there's a couple of other aspects I should mention about Bill Daley, chief of staff now for the Obama administration. Digby makes a very good point that this is not just a matter of center versus left, because Daley is a huge third way Democrat, which is essentially the third way is now what the DLC used to be. They are corporatists who feel that, they're basically like what Republicans were 25 years ago, 20 years ago. Corporatists, there was, I can't remember what speech it was, but you can go back to like the early 70s and see Republicans saying like, I'm the most liberal in this race. Because what they're talking about really is just sort of being forward thinking and inclusive of people. And essentially it's corporatists with a heart. That's basically what it is. And Bill Daley, back in July of last year, was appointed to the board of trustees of the Third Way. So, I mean, he's a major corporatist. He opposed the Consumer Protection Agency that Elizabeth Warren is heading. In the Washington Post, he wrote back, I think it was in 2009, all that's required for the Democratic Party to recover its political footing is to acknowledge that the agenda of the party's most liberal supporters has not won the support of a majority of Americans, and based on that recognition, to steer a more moderate course on the key issues of the day, from healthcare to the economy to the environment to Afghanistan. At what point at any point were we heading on a immoderate course to the left on any of those issues? Honestly, I mean, healthcare reduces the deficit. It is really nothing radical about it other than putting restrictions on insurance companies as to not essentially price gouge. Is that immoderate? In terms of the economy, we're talking about a stimulus that was less than what liberals wanted, that really no sane individual thought was larger than it should be. Nobody. Is Bill Daley suggesting that he thinks that the stimulus, the $800 billion stimulus, of which 40% was tax cuts, was too large? It's too liberal? We're escalating in Afghanistan. What the hell? What would be a more moderate course away from the left than, I don't even know. I just don't even understand that on the spectrum of things. What could you do in Afghanistan that would be considered more moderate other than have less troops? I don't understand. On the environment, yes, things have gotten completely out of control. I mean, you almost can't have 14 deep water drilling rigs in the Gulf under the same exact rules and system that BP had their massive catastrophe that the president's own commission has now determined was a systemic failure, not a rogue company. You can't have 14 companies doing that. You can only have 13 deep water drills. That's how immoderate we are. You can't get to 14 deep water drilling units. You can't have 14 more opportunities to have such a catastrophe. So, but aside from that aspect of it, maybe he's like Rahm, who he mentored. Maybe he's like Rahm and he's a vicious political fighter. Never say die. Yes, his politics are a little bit more centrist and corporatist than we would like, but he never says die. Except, actually, no. It turns out that he only says die. I forgot that he was Al Gore's campaign head. And Jeffrey Toobin, in his book, this is via Digby, of course. I don't, there's some bloggers out there. I don't know how they hold so much information in their head that they can just sort of, like, oh wait, I remember, but beep, and just pull that out of. And she quotes from Jeffrey Toobin's book. Frankly, I don't even know how you cut and paste from a book like that. I guess maybe she has it as digital or something. I don't know. On the 2000 recount, even though the automatic recount had cut Bush's lead dramatically in the previous 3 days, Christopher, speaking of Warren Christopher, former Secretary of State, I think it was under Clinton, who came in to help out, and Daley offered little hope that the margin could be eliminated completely. Look, you got screwed, said Daley, but people get screwed every day. They don't have a remedy. Black people get screwed all the time. They don't have a remedy. Sometimes there's no remedy. There's nothing you can do about it. And now this is, I had forgotten this. Lieberman did not share the advisor's reluctance to push forward on all fronts. This became a reoccurring theme of the post-election period. The Connecticut senator always sounded like a warrior in private settings. Much to the frustration of Hawks on Gore's team, he sounded much different before the cameras. I mean, that's, if Joe Lieberman is not duplicitous, I don't know what he is. Disingenuous, duplicitous, full of shit. I don't know a better way of saying that. But Gore, too, railed against the prophecies of hopelessness he was hearing from Daley. And he drew this is sort of interesting. He drew a series of concentric circles on a butcher paper to illustrate what he saw as his responsibilities. Inside the smallest circles were Gore and Lieberman. Their closest supporters were in the next circle, then Democrats generally, finally the country as a whole. Gore said his actions had to serve all those groups and not just those closest to him. An immediate surrender would be a violation of his obligations to those who supported him, he said, all the people in the circles. In the end, Gore thought they shouldn't make any momentous decisions, but it was clear that Daley and Christopher felt any victory for Gore was impossible, even though more people had gone to the polls there intending to vote for president than the vice president than Bush. Gore and Lieberman couldn't wage the battle alone, of course, and their two principal deputies were telling them, in effect, to give up. So the two complaints that one might have with Obama is that he is a corporatist, and when he's not a corporatist, he's a capitulator. And
do we have a color for corporatist? And a sky blue is capitulator.
Right. No, I thought we did. We said that it was in a heather yellow.
Yeah. Heather yellow.
Yeah, we're gonna create a graph now a color coding situation. Now, of course, that's more complicated to do because we're not live. We have a video. We don't. I mean, we have the Sammy Cam. I guess we could juice up the Sammy Cam for maybe we could hold up a card.
The color might not be the same once it gets through the Sammy Cam. It might be a different shade of yellow.
Yeah. That's true.
All
right,
or green apparently.
So we'll just have to say it. Maybe we'll get a sound. So Daley seems to be a perfect fit for Obama. Two peas in a pod. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what the value of a guy like that is. Now, supposedly, like people like Robert Reich and Howard Dean have said that he's a good pick. I don't know if that's a function of their wanting to have continued access to the president. I mean, you say to the chief of staff the day that he comes in, like, oh, bad pick. Or you even think this guy's going to be the pick and you say bad pick. Guess what you have? No access to the president anymore. Now, fortunately, Barack and I had a little falling out some time ago, so I don't give a shit about shitting on Daley. He can shut the door to the White House for me all he wants. I don't give a goddamn crap. And so, and the only other bad aspect of this pick, Greg Sargent highlights on his blog, the plumb line, is that this reinforces the meme that somehow Obama was too liberal in his first 2 years in office, which of course is crap. But this is our lot, folks. Got to hang in the game. You never know when something's going to change.